Hi everybody, Elizabeth here with Country Peony, and welcome to episode 5 of Coffee and Crafting. I'm coming to you live from the Country Peony studio in LaGrange, Texas, which is a small town around Austin, Houston, San Antonio. So I just enjoy crafting here, simple and inexpensive crafts, and then whimsical spaces I like to feature. So thank you so much for joining me. This is just a super casual conversation. I enjoy drinking my coffee and crafting, and I thought it'd be fun to do that with you, to hopefully inspire you to start crafting, or for you to inspire me. This crafting series has been such a joy. It has been so much fun to see you on here, and I really enjoy it, and I'm just so grateful for you, those of you who are showing interest in it and who are joining me on Mondays. So normally it is at noon Central Standard Time. Today I had an appointment that I have to get to, so I thought I would push it up an hour. So I hope that's okay with you. And welcome. Let me know where you're coming from. Again, my name's Elizabeth with Country Peony, and at Country Peony, I focus on simple and inexpensive crafts and whimsical spaces. And so today we are going to be crafting a really sweet felted ghost garland for Halloween. If you are new to Coffee and Crafting, the last episode is still on my Facebook feed, and we made these ghost yarn pillows. And then before that, we made some pink ghosts. So I'm kind of feeling pink ghosts and Halloween this time of the year. But true story, I am a Halloween baby. My twin brother and I were born on Halloween, but I've never really been a huge fan of decorating for Halloween. I was always more into fall. That's just because I prefer pinks and just more feminine details. And when I decided that I could use pink in my decorations for Halloween, I was completely on board. So I've been having so much fun adding the cute and whimsy into Halloween this year. So we're going to be making these today. These are felted ghosts, and we're going to be connecting them to turn them into a really sweet garland that you can make for Halloween this year. And so before we get started, I wanted to kind of share some of my favorite things this week. So a lot of you have commented on my earrings. I love statement earrings. I think it's a really fun way to jazz up your outfit. These are from Amazon. They're just a little over $10. I've linked them below. And then also my lipstick, which matches these earrings perfectly. This is Heartbreaker by Revlon. It's a matte. I love it so much. I wear it almost every single day. And then my dress, funny enough, is also from Amazon. So I've linked that below for you as well in the description. But I wanted to feature a felted craft today because I love needle felting so much. And I don't know if you've ever tried it. Let me know if you've tried it. If you haven't, it is such a fun craft and art form. It's very old. The art form is very old. And I love that it's making a comeback. In a really fun way, in a very modern and fun way. And I want to inspire you to needle felt. I created a needle felting 101 beginner friendly course, and I've linked it below. I also have a 50% off coupon if you use the code needlefelt in the checkout, because I want you to get started. I created this course last spring, and it was a lot of fun. It was something that I had on my heart for a really long time, and I would love for you to enjoy it. And so if you have any questions about the course, let me know, because I just want you to start needle felting. It is such a fun craft, and I know you're going to love it. Okay, so let's get started on the craft. Today we are making this adorable ghost garland that we're going to connect at the end. I'm going to show you how to make these ghosts. And what I love about this project, it's very beginner friendly. If you've never needle felted before, you can do this, and I will show you how. And you can take this technique and apply it to a lot of different things, as you'll see in a little bit. So to get started, all you're going to need is a cookie cutter of your choice. I found this adorable cookie cutter on Amazon, but I love to go thrifting, and I really love finding cookie cutters that have unique shapes and they're also very inexpensive if you find them secondhand. So keep your eye open for cookie cutters for your needle felting projects. And then you're going to need some wool roving. I prefer 100% wool because I think the end product is a little bit, it's prettier. But one of you had mentioned that you are allergic to wool, and so they make synthetic fibers that look like wool. So you can check that out as well. And then these needle felting tools. So if you're gonna start with any tool, I recommend Clover's pen style needle felting tool, which is this pink one. And I've linked a roundup of my favorite needle felting tools also in the description, and a blog post on how to use them if you want to check that out below. So if you're going to start with anyone, I recommend this. And then you also need a mat. I like Clover's brush mat, especially the large one, because you can do a lot of fun projects with it. And then this is the mat cleaner and then the grabber. And so I'm going to start off by cleaning my mat because I didn't fully clean it from the last session. And you do that because these fibers are so tiny, and if they get stuck in there, then they're not going to, they're going to get in your project and you're going to see a different color. And honestly, that's what happened here. I don't know if you can see that orange in there. I didn't clean it all the way. And so you'll see some of that in there. Okay, so let's get started. So we've got our cookie cutter of choice. You can choose a pumpkin. You can do a bat. I was playing with the bat. I don't know if I like it or not, but I made this over the weekend as well. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about this, but I decided to stick with the ghost for now. And so, and then the color palette, decide on your color palette. I like to keep my wool roving out so I can kind of, I'm a very visual person, and so I like to see it and then pick my colors from there. For this, these ghosts are adorable. I thought it'd be really cute to do very non-traditional pastel colors with this, but you could stick with white. That would be beautiful. You could stick with one color. It's really up to you. I just always hope to inspire you to start making it, so you can then do whatever you want from there. Okay, so the first step is we're going to put our cookie cutter down and we're going to pull the wool roving apart. You're going to pull it at an angle, and don't ever use scissors to cut this, because when you use scissors, you don't get this beautiful edge. You get a crisp edge, and when you're needle felting the fibers together, you can see that edge. And then we're just going to pull the fibers apart. This is really fun. One reason I love needle felting is because it's super therapeutic, and it's also really fun. I think the wool roving is a beautiful medium to work with. I just find it gorgeous, and it comes in so many colors. Okay, so I'm just going to start to add. As you can see, it's filling the cookie cutter, and then we're going to take the needle felting tool. So for this project, since we're so close to the edge of the cookie cutter, I'm not going to use a guard on this one, but you can. And all we're going to do is, I don't protect my fingers with a finger guard. You can also use that. I've been doing it long enough that I feel comfortable, but if you would like to, I do recommend using a finger guard. And I also have that linked in my Amazon storefront. So this is also helpful to kind of hold down your wool and to protect your fingers. But all I'm doing here is I am piercing the wool into each other, and I'm going around the cookie cutter to create a fun shape with that ghost. And I'm just carefully going around the cookie cutter to create that crisp line. But be careful not to bend the needle into the cookie cutter, because it will break the needle, and you know, that's just unfortunate. But I do recommend always having needles on standby, because your needles will break. That's just part of it. But I'm just piercing the fibers straight up and down, as you see, not side to side, into each other to create this really cute ghost. And you're going to create that crisp line. So I'm going around the edge first, and then you can do the middle. And I'm going to stop talking for a little bit so you can hear how beautiful this sounds. a workstation at home. I love doing this, especially this time of the year when the weather starts to cool. Well, not here in Texas, but it's a fun thing to do in the evening when you're watching a movie or just have it on in the background. But you definitely do need to pay attention to what you're doing here. I have a little bit of a gap at the top, as you can see, so I'm gonna add a little bit of more wool here to kind of close off that gap. But let me know if you have any questions about this. It is such a fun process for me. I'm so grateful that I spotted it or started it a couple years ago. I love the handmade charm, and every time I see a needle felted project, I think it's got a beautiful vintage inspired feel. Okay, so we're gonna keep going, just being careful of your fingers. Again, I'm going around the edge. I'd love to know if any of you have ever tried needle felting. And again, I have a needle felting 101 course if you want to get started on this. If not, you can just purchase the materials in the description below and you can get started on your own. Okay, so we're starting to get there. And so I'm going a little bit faster since I'm doing it in the middle. Okay, you can see that it's starting to come together. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now we're gonna do the other side. So we're just gonna carefully grab the felted wool. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing the cookie cutter down so that it's easier to get to. And we're gonna do the same thing on this side. We're gonna start on the edge, be very careful not to pierce the needles into the cookie cutter. And with this, it's like anything. The more you do, the better you'll get. And the more you pierce, the more compact the wool fibers will be, and they'll turn into a felt. But it's really up to you. So you can see some of these fibers are a little loose, and that's okay. I think that kind of adds to its charm. But it's really up to you and whatever you want to do. And I love using cookie cutters because I think it's a beautiful way to get started. I don't know if you've seen those really beautiful sculpted needle felted projects. Those are more advanced. So once you kind of get the hang of this, then you can start working on those. But this is a great way to get started. And I think these one-dimensional characters are almost just as cute as those sculpted ones. Okay, so we've got this side, and now we're gonna go to the other side. And for today, since you probably don't wanna watch me just needle felting all day, I'm gonna kind of show you how I make the eyes after I do this one side. But I would recommend doing it maybe 2 or 3 more times, one on each side, and then maybe one more time, so you can get a nice clean felted piece. It's so fun. Don't you just love that sound? I have a lot of fun with it. My daughter, who is 7, actually needle felts with me now. I have to stand over her and make sure she's not hurting herself, and she's very careful, but she loves it. And it's just so beautiful because you've got so many colorful options, and really you can do whatever you want. Okay, so I would go back one more time on each side, but for today's purposes, I wanted to kind of show you how it looks. So we're gonna take this off, and you've got this adorable ghost. See, he's a little fluffy because he needs to be pierced a little bit more, but so cute, right? Isn't that adorable? That was less than 10 minutes. And now we're gonna add the eyes. So I've got this, it's almost kind of a charcoal gray. I'm just gonna pull a very tiny piece off. And then I'm going to twist it up into a long, thin line. I'm gonna wrap it around my finger. And what I'm doing is I'm just turning it into a ball. And so when you're working with this wool roving, it responds well to a little bit of moisture, and so my hands are always kind of sweaty, and so that helps. But if you need to use a little bit of water just to make a tiny little ball for the eyes, and so that is all I'm doing here. And then I'm going to carefully pierce the eye into the wool, watching my fingers, making sure I don't pierce them. Now again, I'm being very careful not to pierce my fingers. Again, you can use the grabber to help with this. But you've got one eye, so cute. So he needs a little bit more forming. He's a little bit too loose for me. I would do him about 2 more times on each side. But again, for today's live, I just wanted to show you how to get started. So that's cute. Look at that first eye, so cute. Okay, now we're gonna make the other eye. And with this, with the projects, you don't need a whole lot of wool, which is great because you just buy a pack. I like to go to craft stores because a lot of times they have them in sectioned together. And it's great because the color palettes normally work really well together. And so I'm gonna make the other eye. And, you know, just to start playing and seeing what colors you want to try and want to play with. So I'm making kind of an oval, so I'm going to manipulate this wool so it looks more like an oval versus super round. I need to work with him a little bit, but you can see he needs a lot of work, but that's okay. You can see another one here. So you can then add the mouth, and now we're going to connect them together, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some twine. I recommend when you're working with this needle, you don't want anything too thick, and you want something that is thin enough to go in between the needles, because otherwise you're going to break your needle. So I'm just going to use some twine for this project. I'm going to make sure the tail is long enough to whatever I want to attach it to. And then I am just going to attach it to the top part, because you figure out how I want to attach it. If I want to attach him like this, where he's just hanging, I think that's what I'm going to do. Because if you attach it too far down, when you hang it up, it'll flop. So you want to keep it nice and high when you attach it. So I think this is a cute place to attach it. Right at the top, kind of where its eyes are. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this wool roving in the same color, and I'm going to go to the back of it, and I'm going to pierce that onto it. So that all I'm doing is attaching this twine to the back so it stays for my garland. And if I had a really thick piece of rope or a thick piece of ribbon, when I was piercing it, it would hurt the needles. Right now, the twine it's not even going into the needles. Okay. And now I've got to clean up the front a little bit, because when the brushes, when your felt goes into the brush, it gets affected a little bit by the fibers that are in there. Okay, so you can see how that's going to work. Look how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? And so now I'm just going to add the other ones and just continue along. And my plan is just to make some really fun colors. You see these colors behind me? I'm just going to have fun choosing these colors, but I'm really excited about this ghost garland. It is so simple. It is so fun. And if you want, I will have a full blog post tutorial on this next week on my blog, countrypeony.com. So if you want to see more detail, then look for that next week. But I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Monday, and I will see you next Monday at noon Central Standard Time here on Facebook for another episode of Coffee and Crafting. Thank you guys, and until next time, happy crafting.